and welcome to the 50th Bastard Review. As I mentioned in a previous video, this is going to be a special episode. This time around, I'm looking at NWA Florida's second annual Jeff Peterson Memorial Cup 2004. This is a tournament-style show to honor Jeff, who was just starting his wrestling career when he was diagnosed with and succumbed to lymphoma, a cancer that attacks the immune system, and tragically died in November of 2002. This event took place June 4th to the 5th, 2004 in Brandon and St. Petersburg, Florida. The first match of the night sees Petey Williams take on Neftali, who is a Florida regular. Things start off well with a little bit of back and forth jockeying for position, but a little under 2 minutes in, Neftali goes high risk with what looks like a corkscrew shooting star press onto Petey outside. Unfortunately, Neftali shows his amateurism here because he misjudges where Petey is and instead lands head first onto an empty chair. And boys and girls, there aren't any mats on the floor. This move is the epitome of idiocy. Thankfully, the kid isn't dead. There are a few close counts that I don't really buy, but Petey picks up the victory with a front flip piledriver he calls the Canadian Destroyer. I'm giving this a 4 out of 10. Up next, Chris Hero takes on Matt Striker, yes, the WWE's Matt Striker. More of a ground-based match where both men try to dominate the other through submission. I don't think either man once goes high risk. It's really amusing to see Chris try to throw Matt off his game, too. If I have any complaint, it's that both men are slow at times as they counter each move, which makes it pretty obvious this is the first time they've met in the ring. Still, it's a decent match, and Chris manages to steal the victory. I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. Then brother meets brother as Roderick Strong takes on Cedric Strong. Cedric starts off strong, no pun intended, but that changes when he goes high risk with a crossbody only for Roderick to counter it with a dropkick. Later on, Cedric does a somersault senton onto Roderick outside, and looks like he lands back first on the floor. Again, stupid move. You're only showing how much of an amateur you are. Then, as if that isn't enough, Cedric rolls his brother into the ring, climbs the ropes, and does a swanton bomb, but can't go for the cover because he's exhausted himself. Roderick eventually picks up the win with a good-looking piledriver, but that's just not enough. I'm giving this a 4 out of 10. After that, one of my favorites, Homicide takes on Black Tigers. Homicide utilizes numerous submissions and power-based moves to wear down his opponent and get a few near pins. While Tigers goes for a jumping plancha over the ropes onto Homicide on the outside, at least Homicide professionally catches him, so I'm not as up in arms about the high-risk move. Of course, later on, Homicide goes for a tope con hilo, which is a somersault tope through the second and top ropes. He skims Black Tiger's shoulders and lands on his feet in the 4th row of chairs. Honestly, it's a really unneeded move, especially since it doesn't immediately lead to a pin. From there, it's back and forth for a few seconds, and Homicide picks up the win with a bland-looking submission. I'm happy Homicide progresses, but I expected a better constructed match out of these guys, giving this a 5 out of 10. Alex Shelley takes on Jimmy Jacobs. Alex dominates most of the match, and there are quite a few counts that get unconvincingly broken by Jimmy. Alex finally picks up the win with a Northern Lights Fisherman Bomb. Short, and that's a good thing. I'm giving this a 5 out of 10. Then Puma takes on Mikey Tenderfoot in another meh amateur spot fest. Mikey does a corkscrew dive that totally misses Puma on the outside. Other things happen, but little is significant. Mikey advances. I'm giving this a 4 out of 10. Jack Evans faces Justice, and I gotta say, Justice looks like a goofy version of Kane's son. Maybe it's just that the look doesn't match the name. The match is nicely choreographed, but it's also painfully obvious, and that's one of the biggest problems with Jack Evans. Justice progresses with a spinning heel kick. I'm giving this a 4 out of 10. The last match of the first round sees Teddy Hart take on Azrael, and I like how Teddy immediately plays the heel and yet gets cheered by the crowd. While Azrael makes a valiant attempt to hold his own, he ultimately falls to Teddy with a gory special flipped forward into a sit-down powerbomb he calls the Stu Hart Special. I'm giving this a 5 out of 10. Night 2 starts the quarterfinals, and here's where things get interesting. Alex Shelley takes on his then Generation Next partner of Roderick Strong. Things start out mat-based as both men try to win through submissions, but slowly gains momentum with some nice strong-arm moves. Roderick uses a variety of backbreakers, while Alex does a nice-looking sit-down jawbreaker into a cover, and even uses the crippler crossface a few times. This match really shows both men's vast abilities, even if Roderick makes rookie mistakes like not hooking the leg in a pin. Surprisingly, Roderick wins when he locks in a Boston Crab, forcing Alex to tap out. Just a really entertaining match. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. Then Petey Williams takes on Justice, who this time around is dressed like the Eric Mobius Crow. Petey dominates most of the match, but Justin gets in a nice-looking tornado DDT and great-looking 450 splash. Unfortunately, Petey losing here just seems like a tremendous waste of his talent. He should have at least made it to the semifinals. Better than either's first match, I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. The next match is entertaining only by chance as Mikey Tenderfoot takes on Teddy Hart. Teddy plays to the crowd with 2 backflips while landing on his feet, but after the second one, Mikey immediately attacks him with an elbow to the back of the head. From there, Teddy does a convincing job of playing the victim because, well, he's legitimately injured. Teddy still manages to do a vicious-looking DDT onto Mikey about 5 minutes in. The end is pretty generic. As Mikey comes diving off a turnbuckle, Teddy gives him a European uppercut, but instead of going for a cover, he goes high risk with his finisher. A diving corkscrew somersault senton he calls open heart surgery, which is supposed to wow me, but doesn't. I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. Unfortunately, Homicide injured himself during the first round match and had to forfeit, allowing Chris Hero to progress. Finally, we come to the main event. Yes, the main event. Due to his injuries, Teddy Hart had to be pulled from the tournament, but instead of allowing Mikey Tenderfoot to progress, or hey, changing the outcome of the match while it was going on, and giving Mikey the win just in case Teddy can't go on, the booker decides to forego the tournament completely and make the finals a 3-way dance between Chris Hero, Justice, and Roderick Strong. Fine, whatever. By now, I just don't care. Chris and Roderick start things off with Justice smartly standing in the corner, allowing them to tire themselves out, but eventually he starts to mix in. Hero does a good job of playing the heel and drawing the ire of the crowd. Chris and Roderick give Justice a nice belly-to-back suplex neckbreaker combo. Later on, Justice is sitting on the back of Strong in a reverse position when Hero comes along and gives Roderick a running, spinning neckbreaker, dumping both men onto the mat. Justice goes for a cover, but Hero breaks it with a drop kick and a nice series of moves. Time for some criticism. I don't like how all 3 wrestlers overuse the backhanded chops. It's like they can't think of anything to do. Oh, I'll just chop him. There's also a painfully obvious spot where Justice has Hero in a standing crucifix hold. Roderick goes high risk and comes down on Justin's head with an elbow drop. It would have flowed better if Roderick didn't take forever to climb the turnbuckle. Hero gives Justice what looks like an airplane spin by the neck, which doesn't seem like the wisest idea. The end is lackluster. Hero has Strong in an STF submission when Justice does what looks like a standing 360 corkscrew senton onto both men and then rolls up Hero for the pin. Really? The greenest wrestler wins? I'm not buying that. The hometown guy wins the local promotions tournament seems a little too, I don't know, weak and obvious, especially with all the other talent on here. And why the fuck is Teddy Hart hoisting the guy onto his shoulders? Aren't you supposed to be injured, asshole? I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. Overall, this show is barely above average. The tournament never reaches fruition due to stupid injuries that shouldn't have occurred. When the best match isn't the main event or even in the semifinals, there's something wrong. The problem lies with most, if not all, of these wrestlers being too inexperienced both in the ring and with each other. You're only as good as the partner you dance with, and if they're green, you're in for an uphill battle. Pick it up to see some of ROH's established stars when they were young. Just don't expect 5-star matches. I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Alex703 Rockstar for sending me the DVD and allowing me to review it. Please tune in again when I review another wrestling DVD in my collection or anything else that crosses my path.